So at the time, I didn't know that back in 2018. I didn't know anything about that. I was just making this in-game currency and I was like, oh, this is great. I could buy these cool items now that I wanted. But then about 2 years later, recognized, wait, I was making some serious money at, 12 or whatever. I
Mhm.
could I could do this exact same thing again, but do it even better. So that's kind of what I tried doing.
Welcome to the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we unpack the messy, beautiful intersection of creativity and business with the artists, marketers, and founders shaping our culture. Hey friends, I'm Carl, founder of Epic Made, and I'm the host of the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we share our thoughts on creativity, art, and business. Past guests include Chris Hewish of Exola, Mario Kroll of Uber Strategist, and Fred Seibert, legendary producer behind Adventure Time and Fairly Odd Parents. I'm forever grateful for the supporters of this podcast, and we are always open to more sponsors that align with our brand. That said, Pixel Retentive is brought to you by the creative gurus at Epic Made. Epic Made is a strategic creative studio helping brands turn big ideas into unforgettable animated content, campaign visuals, and story-driven creative that actually connects and turns viewers into fandom. We work with the best brands in gaming, entertainment, tech, and pop culture to make their ideas feel bigger, clearer, and harder to ignore. So if your brand has a campaign, launch, pitch, or story that needs to stand out, visit epicmade.net and let's make something epic together. All right. So with us today, we have Trevor Davis, founder of Trevor Joey Development. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man, excited to have you. I was just telling you earlier, but yeah, I think you're the youngest guest we've ever had on the podcast, which is incredible. Just means you're doing awesome things, and you should be super proud of that. And really cool. We're gonna dive a lot into Roblox and all the stuff you've done there today. So, telling just letting the audience know a little bit more about you here. Trevor is a developer and studio founder specializing in high performance systems and immersive experiences inside Roblox. With over 11 years of experience building games on the platform, he focuses on creating scalable environments, monetization systems, and interactive brand activations that help players deeply engage. His work lives at the intersection of game development, business strategy, and digital advertising, helping brands move beyond traditional ads into fully immersive digital worlds. Uh, Pretty incredible stuff, Trevor. Obviously, 11 years ago, you were very young and building things on Roblox just for fun, right? You probably thought Roblox was cool and like, hey, let me make my own game, and that started evolving into things. So, like, how did you really get into this, and what do you think you're most proud of so far in your journey?
It's kind of funny. I mean, now I'm 20, so 11 years ago I was 9. Probably first started even messing around with it whenever I was 7 or 8. And for me, I mean, it feels like I've been doing this my whole life, which, it's only been 11 years, but I pretty much have been.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, originally got into it, I found out that there was like this studio thing you can mess with. I didn't really even know I was making my own games. Like I thought I was playing one at first. And kind of kept messing around with that for a little bit. And then eventually recognized like, oh, I can make my own games, publish them on this platform. I see all these cool games. I want to make one just like that, but even more fun. Um, so I was kind of messing around with that for a little bit, and then eventually over time was kind of messing around with the free models, placing them in the studio, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Kind of make my own little game. My buddies and I are playing. Like, we have all these special power ups since I made it. So you're like, oh, this is great. Um, and then from there, eventually had a few like communities on the platform reach out asking if I could make them games just for quick little like contract work. And I was like, okay, like this is cool. I can make a little bit of money from it. So kind of started that way. Was just I had some like Star Wars games uh, where they were just reaching out and they were wanting me to make like certain maps for 'em or temples. So originally kind of started out through that and just kept going through there and kept expanding.
I love that, man. So, these are fan based at that point, I assume. At what point do you feel like this really started? Obviously, at some point, this went from like, oh, I'm a kid having fun to like, hey, people are trying to pay me money, and like, I know if I'm your dad and my son's making some games and things are doing, and all of a sudden, like, dude, there's revenue and money, like, I'm starting to ask questions and get involved. So, like, what did that process look like? Because I'm sure that's some. I mean, you couldn't open your own bank account at first, so like,
Oh yeah.
where, yeah, talk me through that because I think that's fascinating, right? Because there's a whole culture out there of your generation that's kind of more apt to this type of thing. So.
No, 100%. So actually for the longest time, my dad was getting pissed at me thinking I was just playing video games all day. And eventually, like, I mean, I'm not kidding. It was probably until about 2018. Um, and it might have been actually till 2021, 2022. But eventually one day, like my mom just sees what I'm doing. She was like, "Hey, like what," kind of asked me to explain what I'm doing real quick. And I'm telling her I'm making these games. I'm making all this money from it. And she was like, that's crazy. We had no idea." So had me then show my dad later. My dad was blown away. Um, so whenever it first kind of started taking off, would have been around for me, whenever I started making some more serious money, would have been around 2018. Uh, we built like a cafe, like restaurant slash hotel type game. And, we just did really well monetization-wise. That game blew up. We were making in, so the way payouts work with Roblox is it's this DevX program. So every 100,000 Robux would equal out to $380 USD. So at the time, I didn't know that back in 2018. I didn't know anything about that. I was just making this in-game currency, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. I could buy these cool items now that I wanted." So I was doing that for a while. We'll had a partner on that project, kind of screwed me over on that. But then about 2 years later, recognized, wait, I was making some serious money at, 12 or whatever. I
Mhm.
could I could do this exact same thing again, but do it even better. So that's kinda what I tried doing. First few communities with it, where I was building in that space went extremely well. Had some great months in that. And then from there, recognized, hey, there's even more money and it's a lot more fun to make games where it's just more like these tycoon games or these RPG games or just, anything in that space. So then started kind of going down that space. And then around in 2020-ish, 2022, sometime between there, brands started coming to the platform. And brain started recognizing, oh, wait, Roblox is having 155 million daily users. That's a great space to captivate an audience and, start pushing out their brand on there. So we kind of started taking advantage of that wave. And since then, kind of continued to ride that wave.
Love that. So it sounds like you started to understand the business side of this at some point. This went from passion and fun and exploration and just being a kid, to like, oh, there's money here, right? And you start understanding that, eyeballs is advertising dollars, right? And like those numbers you just threw out there are of that, right? Brands started showing up. 2022 NFTs started popping off. Gucci did a collab with Roblox and had an NFT Roblox bag that came with an actual Gucci purse that you could have in game and in person. And there was a lot of that crossover stuff. And that's just the one I know off the top of my head. I'm sure you're aware of even more details there. When did this really feel like this is a business that you're running, and I am a businessman, and I need to learn about business, and like when did you start to go like take this serious and step away from more of that? Not that you have ever put down that fun, exciting side. I don't know. Maybe you have, but I hope you haven't, and I hope that there's still all that passion in there. But when did that sort of transform into like really, I'm going to take this serious, and this is going to be a business and my livelihood?
Yeah, I feel like that shift for me kind of happened back in 22. Um, For me, I mean, started seeing the biggest thing was seeing the brands come to the platform. Because before it was kinda more just like a fun little hobby thing. I mean, still is to, an extent for sure, but, prior to that, it was more just making games for fun, having little commissions here and there. I mean, making decent money, but nothing crazy. Um, and so it was fun just kinda pushing out more of these hobby projects. Well, then in 22, whenever, I had brands starting to come to the platform, really started focusing on, trying to take advantage of that wave, and from there, kinda started hiring on, my first few guys, which are still with me and have been great. Um, but from there, yeah, I'd probably say once brands started coming to the platform, just realizing what Roblox really was at that point. It's not just another gaming platform. Like it's not just this uh, small space where, all these players are coming, but instead it's actually becoming something big. And from there, I mean, we just took advantage of that, started reaching out to brands. With what we originally started doing actually is we had games that were already published where we were trying to get brands to kind of more advertise in there and maybe do some exclusive items just for those brands. And that was working for a little bit, but then we recognized, hey, if we start making games fully around these brands and immersing players in these brands, that's where it's actually going to continue to grow. And so, yeah, for me, I'd probably say, I guess kind of circling all the way back around, but yeah, probably 2022 is when I started taking it a little bit more serious.
So what was the first brand deal you got, and did they come to you or did you go to them?
For my first one, we, I believe we went to them actually. We were just kind of reaching out to a bunch of different brands, emailing, just trying to find any way possible. We were reaching out through LinkedIn, Indeed. I mean, Instagram, X, like
I
anything.
love it.
Uh, and so the first brand we worked with would have been Capital Distributing. It's like an appliance company, and they eventually sold off to I want to say Ferguson, but we were working with them for a while. That actually would have been prior to uh, that would have been back in 2020. And so we were doing that for the first few years, and then from there, from that game, we started having some traction pick up, and then we just started having other brands reach out to us.
Capital Distributing. What? And you guys reached out to them. So help me understand, like the how this came together. Like, hey, this company might actually want to do a brand deal with us, and it's distributing a distributing company on Roblox. Like, I never would have made those connections as a 18-year-old guy. Like, talk me through that. So I
Yeah,
guess you were younger
so
than that then too, 16. So yeah, this is
yeah,
interesting for sure.
so for me, I saw it and recognized any of these brands really. I mean, at the end of the day, any brand can come to the platform. Like for an
Correct.
example, today I was checking out a game. Indeed just came to the platform. Like there's so much opportunity no matter what line of business they're in. So Capital Distributing was like a high-end appliance company. And we were thinking, oh, what if we first have it where it's like a kind of like a showroom with all their appliances, and you can buy these appliances or whatever. Or we could just kind of kept brainstorming the ideas. But at the end of the day, we were like, any brand you can make into a game. If you're just creative enough about it, you could either make it a tycoon, you can make it a simulator, or you can make it a full on like, I mean, if you wanted to, an RPG game. Uh, just it comes down to creativity at the end of the day. I
Yep.
mean, there's so much opportunity in the space. Uh, if you aren't creative and trying to find different ways to innovate, then it's going to be difficult. But like in that case, we were just being as innovative as possible and throwing out some ideas. We're like, this is crazy, but let's just kind of keep brainstorming, messing around, and eventually we came up with the final product, and it just kind of went from there.
I love it, man. So look, you've been doing this in Roblox since, for 11 years now, right? Like, how have you seen this platform mature and evolve in terms of like monetization and just opportunities in general and just overall professionalism? I'm sure when it started, when you were younger, it wasn't what it is now. So love to hear some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, the platform has grown like crazy. I mean, I even look at the from the development side of what Roblox has been pushing out, even on that side with the studio and the new tools they're providing us and just everything in between. It's I mean miles and miles different. Um, the craziest part I would say for sure would be the maturity level. While you might think overall it has increased, there's for sure, I mean, a lot of with Roblox being a platform where anyone can really create games, that the maturity level. for sure isn't always the highest whenever it comes to some developers you're trying to bring on for contract work. Um,
Sure.
but whenever it comes to more of the professional side working with brands, that part's been really fun to see. Uh, I mean, I know it has shaped me a lot, going from this, 8, 9-year-old kid making games, texting my friends on Discord, trying to set something up, to then being a 20-year-old working with brands and trying to figure out what exactly, I mean, when it comes down to the font, uh, like the colors, just all these small little minute details that I never thought I'd even be thinking about. Um, so whenever it
Design.
comes to oh yeah,
It's
like whenever
design.
it comes
Yeah.
to the brand side, and professionalism, that for sure has adjusted a lot. But whenever it comes to contract work and hiring, um, there's for sure a big mix, a lot more of a mix than you would expect. I would say that.
Yeah, look, that was I started my company when I was 20 years old as well. And so a little after you got started, and that's been the hardest thing to navigate always, right? Is finding the right people that fit your belief systems and your culture that you're trying to build and making sure that, they can grow and scale with you. And I think, the best advice I ever got was whenever you're bringing someone in is to, sell them the dream. Like, where are you trying to take this? And see how they react. Tell them what it like. We're trying to go here. Like, what do you think about that? Like, is that something you could get on board on? Is that something you that can keep you motivated when it's hard, when money's tight, when we don't know what's going on? Like, and that's where you find those like ride or die people that will join your squad, and you guys can go there and keep going. Like my creative director has been with me for 15 years now. Like, and we weren't shit compared to what we are now when we first started working together, and we've both grown and we've both been motivated. And so there's huge things there. And I've hired people, man, that I thought were going to be the best new talent on my team, and oh my god, and they just didn't have the soft skills, the communication skills, the ability to work in a team, the maturity. And you probably work a lot with remote people. I doubt you have an office somewhere, and I never
Mm.
recommend you do that. And some people aren't good at that. Some people aren't good at, being an adult and being accountable and like, hey, here's the things you need to do and here's when you need to do them by, and then like get it done. Like, I don't want to hold your hand. Like, that's not why I didn't hire people so I could babysit. So I think as you have already seen a lot of these things, I'm sure, and hopefully that's reinforcing some of the ways that you've been operating. So
Oh yeah, that's for sure great reinforcement. I mean, uh, it's for sure a part where I've been trying to navigate, and I think I continue to struggle with for a little bit, but eventually we'll nail it down a little bit better just as time goes on. Um, it kind of funny story is, so, I'm 20, I'm in college still. Well, I was going through pledship, and at this time I had about 12 employees. Was still paying them through it all. My project manager's kind of running it. Being pledship, I didn't have much time to focus on the business at all. I mean,
what
there
frat
was
did you
months where
join?
Sigma Nu.
Okay,
So yep, I'm up at Oklahoma State over there. So I mean, been loving it so far.
great.
But yeah, I just was through floodship, still paying these guys, still expecting them to work, was still, messaging them as frequently as I could. And even then, just the lack of accountability and work. I mean, I had 8 guys that just pretty much fully stopped working. And that was a whole mess. Studio went downhill. We lost a couple brand deals, which was very unfortunate. Um, but even then, it's just kinda, I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Man, I'm 20." It sucks right now that it's happening, but it's great lessons I'm learning early on. I for sure had a lot of learning points like that where I mean, failed and failed really hard, where it's a lot of money I lost. But at the same time, I'm like, "Man, I'm 20 right now, I don't have a family to worry about, I don't have
Yep.
kids." This is the time where if I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna learn lessons better now than down the road. So I always try to take the like learning moments from all those.
100%, man. The biggest differentiator between the beginner and the master is that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So you just keep
Yeah.
picking up and moving in the right direction. I think I failed in the right direction for the first decade. I didn't, there's so many lessons to be learned. But that all it just galvanizes you and your team, and the people that aren't a fit will naturally fall away because things like that will happen. And the people that are a fit will rise to the top, and you guys will continue to build things together and reinforce what you're doing and why you're doing it. And yeah, when you mess things up and drop the ball, like it can cause some brand reputational damage. But really, really, the real merit of your character and what you're trying to do is in how you recover from those things. Both like in that relationship with those people, if it's recoverable, or even just taking accountability is huge as the leader, because at the end of the day, it's all your fault. You're the leader, right? Like that's the crown you wear, right? And good leaders, Simon Sinek has a whole book on this, but leaders eat last, and sometimes there's nothing at the table, and sometimes it's a feast. So uh, all the things that just kind of layer into that. I think you've got the right mindset already for sure, man. And someone told me the same sort of re-encouraging things, but if you keep that mindset, you'll be successful and you'll keep growing and it'll keep getting there and you'll never fail because it's a mindset. You don't fail till you quit, right? And as long as you're failing in the right direction, everything's okay. Obviously within reason of what you have to risk, but you got this. You're already crushing it. You're so far ahead of the curve, dude. Don't let little road bumps ever slow you down. So it is all good. So look, you've been specializing in building these scalable, high performance systems. I would love to know what that even means to you. And also, like, what do you think separates Roblox experience in these systems and keeping players there long term versus something that like people come in, they play it and it goes away. Like you'll see some of these big brands like make a game experience that no one actually really likes. So what does all that look like for you?
Yeah. So, whenever it comes to building the systems, so there tends to be a big problem with Roblox game development is people often they focus on just straight up the build and the look of the game, the overall design, but then whenever it comes to the actual systems, the programming, the UI, a lot of things that people kind of put on the back burner, especially in at least the Roblox development space. Kind of putting those first, we found, and we've actually ran a lot of tests over the years. Uh, we built first a game where they're two very similar games. One was beautiful build, like super polished, look wise, but overall the systems weren't that good. And then we built one where the build was, I mean, it looked like my 8-year-old self built it. And, the systems though were as polished as could be, and found that the game that had beautiful build, but the systems weren't polished, that game performed horribly, died within a week. Versus the game that had a horrible build but with super polished systems, that game ended up doing really well, and then we ended up selling it off to the company. Um, so our kind of saying with that is more just focusing on building the systems in the actual game. Obviously, we're going to polish both sides. The saying, whenever first starting off in the game, that's what we're focused on first. Um, so yeah, I hope that kind of answered your question with that a little bit.
Sure. We have a design principle here at Epic Made that, we have to start everything with great foundational understanding of what we're doing. The fundamentals, the function of this thing has to be dialed in before we start making it beautiful, right? And they're equally as important, right? The real magic happens when it's very beautiful and it's very functional. But like you said, if the functionality breaks down, it doesn't matter how good it looks. And just the core functionality will probably outperform something that's beautiful that doesn't function. But the magic really happens when you put them both together in this harmonious, beautiful way, and you find a way to tell a human story through this, right? And then when you layer in this brand experience through the middle, that's when it becomes very valuable on the marketplace. I'm sure your understanding of that is dialed in from what I've heard that you're doing here. So I think like as brands are starting to treat more of these platforms like Roblox, as immersive marketing channels, like you talked about earlier, rather than just like, hey, we make an ad, right? Like, what do you think that the companies should understand before entering these digital worlds? Like before they go, all right, well, we're just gonna find somebody and throw a bunch of money at them and build out the Gucci world inside of Roblox. Like, what's some really great advice you have for them?
Yeah. For a lot of brands, I feel like they come into it with a very traditional idea of marketing. Uh, but at the end of the day, Roblox is nothing like that. I mean, you can have a 30-second ad on TV, uh, or you can have players immersed in your brand for hours on end. And those are two different things that you have to create. Um, Whenever it comes to being on Roblox, the biggest problem is a lot of brands, they come into it with the idea of, oh, we're going to spend a crap ton of money on pushing it and advertising it for a few weeks, and then the game dies off. I mean, we've seen this with so many brands. We've seen that uh, I I mean, just countless times. There's probably only been a few brand games that have continued to, keep doing well, and that's because they're doing it correctly. A great example would be, over at GameFam. It's another studio on the platform that does a larger scale of what I'm doing. They were working with Adidas and, FIFA for the World Cup and creating a soccer game. And, they did a very good job at, instead of making the game feel, strictly where it's just pushing the brand super heavily, instead of having it something where it's more kind of additions to the game. Um, and I'd probably say that's the biggest thing is a lot of these brands, whenever going into it, it's just straight up shoving their brand right into their face. Which I mean, with advertisements on TV, that's great. But whenever it comes to the video game space, these kids just want to play video games. And if your brand's in there, they're going to spend a lot of time around your brand, but you have to do it correctly. Um, so I probably say the biggest piece of advice would be not going into it with the traditional mindset. Uh, Instead, going into it with, hey, this might not be how you expect, or what you've seen previously with TV advertisements or even social media advertisements. Um, how you would do that, but this is going to be done differently, but it'll make players immersed in your brand for a lot longer.
Well, it sounds like the big idea there is trust the experts on where you're going, right? That's always the number one. So if you're gonna hire a team super experienced and building out Roblox games or any type of immersive game like this, um, trust their instincts and their track record and their experience that players don't want you to just like have an ad on it. But every time I think about this, like metaverse type of world, whatever that manifests as, I think about Ready Player One, where there's like that company just wants to sell the ads on every, and if we can do about this much before people start having a seizure, and it's like, like don't, that's not the play. Like the play is this subtle immersion, this storytelling that has your brand threaded into it throughout the experience, and it isn't just thrown in your face, and it's just that consistent exposure to the brand in a way that makes sense, that should align with the brand values of that company. I think that obviously makes more sense, right? It's the players don't want to just sign up to play an ad. That if it feels like you're playing an ad to be advertised to, they're not going to come back, obviously. So that's really great advice, I think. Is there any other pieces of that you've seen? Like what's the most successful brand game that you've seen done, and why do you think it was successful?
I think the most successful game I've seen done, probably going back to uh, the Game by Game fam, where they partnered with FIFA and now actually they just partnered with Team USA for the World Cup and then Adidas. Uh, the reason I feel like that game was done so successful is it was actually previously just a soccer game that they made. And then from there, they started reaching out to these brands and started kind of bringing them into it, where instead of it just being like the super legend soccer type game, they started focusing a lot more on bringing the brands into it. And with that game, it already had a really strong player base. They're already averaging probably around 4,500 to 7,500 CCU. Um, so then from there, they already had the player base. Well, then once they brought on the whole team from GameFam, polished it up a lot, and then included the brands in there. And that's another thing too, is for an example with that game, there's nothing you really had to do differently to bring brands in. Maybe a little bit with the, like cosmetics wise and little adjustments here and there, but overall the whole game didn't have to be changed. Um, and so I feel like that's a great example. Or there was even another one where there was a Bruno Mars concert on the platform where it had one of the highest um, I want to say it was one of the most played concerts ever in a video game, even compared to like Fortnite or some other platforms. And it was strictly because it was already in a game with a high, it already had a high player count, and then doing an event like that inside of there just blew it up even more. Um, so I'd say don't be scared to work with like games that have already been on the platform have been successful, but make sure that they kind of fit within your theme of your brand rather than trying to go something where it's like an RPG game and you're a brand that wouldn't even have a close affiliation with it. So yeah.
That makes sense. So like it sounds like there was a really polished soccer game on Roblox that got a great community base built up because the game was fun to play, right? The fundamental part of this is it is a game. So whether it's a cozy game or a Sims game or a simulator or all the things you talked about earlier, it has to do that well. And then you thread in the other things. And obviously it's a no-brainer, right? If you have a great soccer game on Roblox and everyone's coming to play it, then okay, well, let's see if we can get some sponsorships, right? So then you start connecting the dots, like how do we get brands started in here? And then obviously, if it's really working and it's the best one on Roblox, well, FIFA's probably going to get interested. And then if you keep polishing it, and now you can add in layers and all and then you can resell the ads. FIFA could sell ads at the World Cup and also sell those same ads into Roblox, right? There's all these threads of connection. But yeah, like that makes a lot of sense to me. A whole lot. So what do you think? Are there any interesting opportunities on the platform now? Like what kind of stuff are you noodling around over there with your guys? Like anything you want to share, or and it's okay if you
Yeah.
don't want to put your secret
Um,
sauce on the internet yet, but
I mean, right now we've been messing around a lot with physics. We're working with the spring currently. They're headquartered in the DFW area. So that's been kind of fun to mess around with. My programmers have been, I mean, working their butts off, but we're hoping to get it out here this summer. So that'll be exciting. And then another thing we've been working on, especially with AI being such a big, I mean, I feel like it's just such a big buzzword right now. Um, we have been experimenting with that a little bit. Now making sure it doesn't take away from the creativity and just, I mean, you see so many people right now where it's just plug and play. Like there's absolutely no creativity with that at all.
yep,
It's
and it'll
creating
fail.
absolutely everything. Oh, 100%. I mean, it's just even the security measures where you look at it programming wise, if you don't, you know, have any of that plugged into it already, the security measures are just, I mean, it's so easy to get into. I've been blown away. I mean, they straight up are publishing the cookies of your account into these others bots that you're trying to create, and it's just all public. Um, but we've been trying to experiment with it a little bit. They recently have added a few features in the studio too, where you can use MCPs to connect to things like Claude. They also have their own assistant inside. So we've been trying to mess around with that and maybe automate some of our development process. But it's just kind of all experimental right now. It's nothing we've actually really utilized. It's just trying to figure out what will work best for us at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. It's a rapidly evolving space. And I we talk about AI probably in every episode at this point on the podcast, but at the end of the day, I don't see a world where the people so this is a tool and the tools will get implemented as the individual human being utilizes them, right? Um, but at the end of the day, the passion that comes from the creativity that comes from a passion of what you're working on is what's going to differentiate everything, right? And that's always been the case, and it doesn't matter what the tools are. So if you just churn out an unremarkable game or something that's purely AI, and there's no like human being really steering it, where it's like, oh, we can do this cash grab, like people will like this. Well, it's not going to work. People are going to see right through it. It's not going to have any depth to it. It's not going to have any staying power. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at. It's got to really have human beings behind it running these tools in a way that is actually unique, that is actually creative, is actually has some innovative thinking in it. And is going to help accelerate and amplify people. People like yourself, where you have a small team, you're very sharp. You guys you're already dialed in. Like my dad used to talk about me, that my generation was digital ready. Like we were plugged in, and like he was always amazed how we could figure out computers, and that's like happening exponentially every generation, right? Like my son is a little younger than you, and he's constantly building out worlds and VR chat and doing all kinds of stuff and like on that similar trajectory. So just really understanding that like these tools are going to empower smaller and smaller teams to make bigger and bigger things with more and more of their great ideas. So the people who will be successful here are the ones that implement and execute on their amazing ideas. And that's always been the thing, right? Like there's lots of people with lots of great ideas. Your ability to execute has been the big decision maker, the big thing that's like, oh, well, we all had these great ideas, but these two people did it, and this one did it exceptionally well. And that's the one that hopefully wins in the marketplace if all things are fair. Obviously, lots of other
Yeah.
factors. It's an oversimplification. And, there's always something to be said for throwing an egregious amount of money at something with the right influences and connections. But I think the scrappy entrepreneur of your generation is going to do some really cool shit. So I'm excited to see how that evolves.
Yeah, no,
So
100%. It's kind of even funny seeing just being in college, there tends to be a lot of people with these great ideas. Um, but whenever it comes to actually executing, there's very few who do, and the very few who do, you for sure see very different results. Um, and I know for me, especially going from at least high school to college, high school, no one was really thinking about any of that. In college, started having some more people where it was kind of like-minded, thinking that way. But then whenever it came to the guys that were actually going to execute on those ideas, that's where I saw the real gap. Where I was like, okay, there's starting to see kind of from the, uh, I guess, like the other view, where instead it's just been me kind of doing it all by myself and then seeing other people that are similar and like-minded and also executing, seeing how well that works out compared to the people that just have these ideas and it goes nowhere. It's been cool for me to see at least and kind of see that go into play.
yeah, man. I mean, that's the big gap, right? Like there's 8 billion people on planet Earth, right? The odds that you have a fully unique idea that no one's ever even thought of is like close to zero, like statistically speaking. And the gap really is like who does the unglamorous part of actually showing up, working their face off, never taking no for an answer, never settling, never quitting, just like I'm gonna find a way regardless, right? Like those are the people that make great things. And some of them struggle their whole life and never make it, but the risk tolerance and the like we don't talk about that enough, by the way, but like it's still, you got to love the journey too, right? Like it took me 12 years to actually make decent money, more than the job I quit when I first started this company. When I was your age, like I had a tech job and I was making really good money and had a government security clearance, and my mom was so proud of me. And I was miserable and I hated it because I knew I wanted to make my own thing. I knew I needed to like be in charge of my own destiny, sink or swim. And I quit that job. And I think my mom gave me shit every time I saw her for the next 5 or 6 years that I quit my good government job, that like I was still this consistent paycheck. And that's how she raised us. And that's what her generation was about, right? Like stability and like predictability. And it's like that sounded horrifyingly boring to me. Like I needed to be able to do whatever the fuck I wanted, have all of my freedom. And I wasn't until much later in my life that I realized my number one thing in my life was just freedom. Like I don't want to get to be, on my deathbed and just be like, oh, well, I played it safe and paid my bills and yay. Like, no, like I want to like have had a human experience and had risk and had great loss and great wins and all the things and felt all the stuff and enjoyed it and loved the journey that I was on. And, I see some of that in you already. So I think, I love that you're taking the risk. I love that you're being a doer and you're like already innovating and creating cool shit and making money, and like you're so far ahead of the curve, dude. Like it's really cool. So I hope I hope that like just having this conversation with you on this podcast inspires somebody or inspires somebody's parents to go, let me lean in on my kid a little bit over here and see what they're doing and not be mad that they're just playing video games all day, because they could actually be building the foundations of a life of freedom and happiness to make really cool shit and express themselves in a way that you might just not be able to understand. Yeah, I'm sure you've got some
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
No, I mean, I feel like that's kind of one of the coolest parts of it is so like for me, my dad was in the entertainment space, so he was more on the reality TV side. He was an executive producer. So he was always in the creative space, but even then had no clue what I was doing. But then once he, kind of started showing him what I was doing after I showed my mom, from there, his interest in it started growing. Uh, and I've been very blessed for sure. My pretty much my great grandpa down are all entrepreneurs. So I've kind of always grown up with that mindset of, hey, I want
Yeah.
to own my own business. That's what I want to do. Um, and so from there, I feel like that for sure helps me out in my journey. I mean, even I always played baseball growing up. So I'd be, traveling an hour to these baseball games, riding with my dad, and I'd just be asking business questions the whole time, going back and forth. Um, but I that's probably one of the biggest things is I feel like a lot of people, their parents are very against video games. I mean, I even know growing up, my buddies and I, like, we go over to my one buddy's house and, we'd be on the console for an hour and his mom would make us get up and go on a 3-mile walk before we could come back and start playing again. So I'd say that that would probably be a big thing is parents being a lot more open to this space because there is so much opportunity in there. And I mean it's just gonna keep growing. Like it's not one of those markets where it's getting oversaturated yet. And if your kid has an interest in that, I would say 100% let them pursue it because you never know where it's gonna end up to.
Yeah, I love that. And look, I had to accept this at some point, but it's like our every generation grows up in a different ecos. It's a different community. It's a different environment. It's a different society, right? Like the things are different. Like it's not the same. And yeah, there is something to be said about having a healthy balance of like actually not being a sedentary desk troll. Like we do need that, right? Sports are important. Community is important. Making sure your body is healthy and sitting still all day is not that. But yeah, there is tremendous value in our culture is becoming more and more digital, and we got a violent shove into that in COVID. And it's changed a lot, and it's not going to get less digital. It's not going to be less. People are more and more concerned about their how they appear in the digital world, right? That's why you see like so much there's a huge market in like skins on Roblox or skins in Minecraft or skins in like just these are literally cosmetic assets. And I think Fortnite probably brought this to the build an entire business model on it that they were told was not possible, and now is probably one of the most profitable games there is with some of the biggest brand deals all, and it's all around skins and people loving pop culture and wanting to thread that in and be able to run around in Fortnite or Roblox with a presentation that says something about who they are. So the digital world that our kids and ourselves are all living more and more in is as important and valid as this physical world that some of the previous generations are very dialed into and know about. But like this digital world is also it's I want to say equal at this point, and it might get to the point where it's even more and more important. So just always pushing that balance and making sure that it's healthy and you just understand the best you can the world your kids are growing up in. So and there's a lot of crazy shit on Roblox too, right? We haven't talked about that, but like I think some like the highest like amount of pedophiles and children predators are in there too, which is so you got to be careful of those things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's for sure been interesting to see the way that Roblox is trying to crack down on it.
Yeah.
They actually just released an update where now if your game doesn't have at least 100 highly engaged players, it's either per week or per month, then your game is restricted strictly to 16 plus.
Oh,
Another thing
good.
they've done, yes, and then another thing they've done is now make Roblox Select or Roblox Go. It's something in the realm of that name where it's for kids that are 13 and under. Um, or it might be 16 and under. And then now to publish games, before you could publish games, anyone could. You just make an account and you can do it right then. Now you have to have a Roblox Plus subscription to publish games. Um, which they're hoping for sure to take the overall first off, increase the quality of games, but then second off, stop a lot of those games that are being made where they are meant more for the whole pedophile type thing, like you fully getting rid of those. Um, and it's hard because I see them for sure get a lot of hate in the media, and I think it's 100% warranted. But at the same time, it is one of the biggest gaming platforms in the world. Um, I look at it and it's I in an ideal perfect world, there would be absolutely no pedophiles on the platform. There'd be absolutely no messed up people trying to take advantage of these kids on the platform. Uh, but at the end of the day, they're spending a crazy amount of money on their security. And with 155 million daily users, having, 10 on a platform where you see all these news stories on, it's not the numbers you want, but it is for the size of a platform they are and for how focused they are on security. Um, I feel like they should get a little bit of kudos just because it's for sure. I mean, it's a hard space to cover, especially being all online. But I will say that they are working hard constantly to try to fix that problem and get a better view in the media for sure.
Yeah, and look, whenever you build something that attracts a lot of people, some people are terrible human beings, and you just have
Mm.
to, as your platforms scale and grow, you have to adapt and see what's going on, and just make sure that you're trying to keep people safe. Like, they have a like all those fail safes and things they're doing are, I'm sure, helpful. I created an account the other day to play with my son. Finally, he wanted me to play some like fighting game or something, which was cool. And it's like, no, you got to wait 3 days before you can play this because you're just some random new account. I was like, you know what? I kind of like that. Like I kind of like any kind of like just slow it down roadblocks, like make it a little more just annoying for people to just get in there and just run amok. So I'm good with it. But dude, this episode has gone really fast. You have got some really great information here, and I hope this episode's definitely inspired some people to either nurture their children to do some cool things with their hobbies and passions as a kid, and or like maybe there's some kids listening to this that are like, man, I can do this. So good for you, Trevor. I hope you inspire a lot of people, and I hope you have tons of success with all of the things that you're doing. And so I would like to ask you one last question here that I ask all my guests. But is there a mentor or a valuable resource or favorite client that you'd like to shout out to the audience?
Yeah, I would like to shout out probably Elite. It's a company we've been working with for a sports type game. They have been nothing but fantastic. Um, they've been great to work with. Excited for that game. It has just continued to do well. Released the V1 of it. The V2 is looking even better. So yeah, no, they've been amazing. Great company, great brand. Uh, yeah.
Love to hear it. And that's Ulete, you said?
Yes, ULETE.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll have to look them up.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And let's see, shout out to LinkedIn for being the platform where we connected. Lots of great opportunities for networking on there. Man, I'm gonna have to sell them a sponsorship soon because I keep saying that every episode now. uh, cool, man. All right, well, we've been talking with Trevor Davis. You can check out his work on Roblox or follow him directly on LinkedIn. You're slash Trevor dash Davis. And or Twitter at Trevor Joey underscore, and Instagram you got Trevor Davis as well, and it's Daviz, right?
Yes.
Cool. If if users want to follow up with you directly, sorry, listeners, where should they go?
Uh, you'd be able to email me just right at trevorjoey dot developer at gmail.com, or just through my LinkedIn, Trevor and then Daviz.
Okay, awesome. And you see on your Roblox directory, we'll put this in the show notes too, but it's roblox.com/communities_Trevor, I believe. Correct?
Uh, it might be some numbers in there.
Let's
Uh,
see. No, it goes straight to Trevor Joey. Yeah,
oh, perfect.
I
Okay.
think redirected. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, Trevor Joey Development. So that
Oh,
works.
perfect.
Cool. Nailed it. All right. So we'll link all this in the show notes for everyone as well. And Trevor, thank you so much for being on the show. This was a lot of fun. And everyone else, if this episode inspired you, sparked some thoughts or anything exciting, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And until next time, we'll see you guys. We really hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe to join us on our next journey through the world of art and business on the Pixel Retentive Podcast.